Hello, this is Marty, Business Analyst for the Visual Development Team. In this session, we will cover an overview for version 9.01. We will begin our overview with the video library, followed by the query tool. Return by exception has been added. We'll also look at enhancements for part dates, inactive product codes. In manufacturing, we'll look at more drill tools, the default engineering master. In shipping, there will be a credit limit review. Contacts will now have user-defined labels. The URL sizes have increased. And finally, we can review the Examine Indexes utility. The video library has been added where you can view this current video as well as the previous version's videos. The video library can be accessed from the Help menu, or you can open vmvideo.exe manually. This does not require a connection to the database. Note that videos will open with the viewer the user has associated with MP4 files. Next, we can look at further enhancements to our query tool. The additions include table and column aliases, interactive queries, as well as drill to buttons for output. Let's review a quick example. Inside the query window, I'm going to go in and select one of my existing queries. And you'll notice that the setup and the structure of the query displays the SQL statement that I had already previously designed. And I run the query and you can see the output. Using a copy of this query, I can show you the 901 enhancements. Starting with the table aliases, you can see that I've used P for the part table and PS for the part site table. And you'll notice that in the top row, the aliases are being used. Also in the top row, I have added in column aliases, as you can see, for part and site, and they will be the titles on my output table. Make your queries interactive by adding bind variables. For example, I'm using part and part site. And I'm able to go in, and when I run the query, I can request the part ID as well as the site ID. Note the percentage wildcard being used for the part ID, and it will be filtered to the site. The output table now includes go-to buttons. You can look at the go-to table column to get an idea of the columns that are available and the programs that will display the go-to buttons. Since Site ID was included in my output, the part maintenance window opens at the part site level. If I did not have the Site ID, you would see the part ID at the tenant level. The next enhancement is Return by Exception. The enhancement is an update to Issue by Exception found underneath the Inventory Transaction window Edit menu. The process has been enhanced by adding a Return Issue Materials flag to the header of the screen. In this first example, I'm manually selecting one line. You'll notice it will fill in with the quantity that's been issued. I can modify the quantities. I can also modify the location to return to. If the requirement is closed, the following message will appear. In this example, we can look at the options for the Return All button at the bottom of the screen. The Return to Original Location and the Preview Transactions Before Saving are being used. The preview window displays the quantities to be returned to the original locations. The alternative Return All selection would be to prompt with inventory locations. In this dialog, I'm able to go through and choose alternate locations as well as modify the quantities to be issue return to those locations. I'm going to go through each one of my rows and complete the issue return. Note part trace and dimensional inventory entry functionality are possible. In the end, I'm going to show you the preview window, which includes all of the locations and the quantities to be returned. Part maintenance has been enhanced to include create date as well as modify date, both at the tenant level and site level. Here you can see an example of the create date and modify date. They can also be configured into the part view panel. Product codes can now be made inactive. The active flag has been added to the product code maintenance. In order to make a product code inactive, there's a check that will go through to see if part IDs and service charges are obsolete. We're not checking for documents at this point in time. The entire system has been updated for product codes. Primarily, the browse windows will no longer include inactive product codes. The manufacturing window has been enhanced with further drill to capabilities. Requirement and operation cards for quote masters, engineering masters, work orders, and projects have been enhanced with the go-to buttons. In this example, I'm looking at a material requirement card. Here you can see two go-to buttons that will take us to part maintenance. Pressing the go-to button opens part maintenance with a part ID for the current site. When deleting an engineering master, additional checks for the default engineering master have been added. A warning message will display asking you if you want to continue to delete this engineering master. When working with shipping entry, an additional credit check can be set up. The setup will actually take place inside of customer maintenance, where you can choose to have no credit evaluation, an override allowed, or no override for the evaluation. In this example, I have set up Able Manufacturing at the accounting entity level to allow an override for the shipment credit check. Save the customer maintenance and then move over to shipping entry. Selecting one of Ableman's customer orders, I'm now able to come in and do the shipment. And once I start doing the shipment, you'll notice that I will get a warning message telling me that I have reached the credit limit or I've gone past the credit limit. And I did choose override, so I can select to do the override at this point in time. Contact maintenance now includes user-defined labels. Found underneath the Maintain menu of Contact Maintenance, you can add your user-defined labels and identify the label set itself. Use the User-Defined tab to further identify your user-defined fields. The URL paths inside of Visual have been expanded. The paths have been expanded to 255 characters. Looking at the contact maintenance, you'll notice that the social media paths have been increased to the 255. Additionally, the following tables and columns will also be updated. A new utility to examine indexes has been added. Found underneath the Edit menu for SysAtom users, the utility will display missing indexes, additional indexes, and incorrect indexes compared to the baseline standard database. My example displays output for all three conditions. Using the repair functionality, the missing indexes as well as the incorrect indexes will be updated. Thank you for viewing this video of Visual version 9.01 overview.